Stay connected. Make sure you hit the subscribe button.
Listen, I want to thank everybody for coming out. I want to thank our supervisor, Tom, and the town board here. You guys do an amazing job, and I want to thank you for your service. It's really at this level that we start to see government actually working and getting things done. So I want to say thank you to them, and thank you for coming out. Just a couple of quick words. I'm an ex-baseball player. I don't play anymore, but I.
But if you want it.
Supervisor, I would sure give it a try on these fields, I can tell you that. I mean, I'm not used to playing on such a nice groomed field as this, which is just an amazing accomplishment. For me, Little League, we called it Pony League at the time, way back then. I played high school ball, and I also played collegiate ball. And I'm telling you, the lessons that I learned, the teamwork that it instilled in me, is a prime reason why I'm here today in front of you as your senator. I really believe that. I think those lessons that are taught and learned on those fields cannot be overrated, and especially today, coming out of where we are coming out of with COVID and with just things in general. I think this right here is truly good medicine. You know, one of the things that I said on the Senate floor, when I was proposing a bill that would make baseball the official sport of New York. I was fortunate enough to carry this bill from my predecessor, Jim Seward, who started it. And it actually started in Cooperstown, where the Baseball Hall of Fame is located, from a teacher, a fourth grade teacher, Ann Reese, in her fourth grade class. And they actually researched all of the items in New York that are official. The official reptile is the snapping turtle, and so on and so forth. And New York did not have an official sport. And at that time, they suggested, the fourth grade class suggested, that we make baseball our state sport. It wasn't fortunate enough to make its way through. When I was looking at the bills that were left over from my senator, as I call still Senator Jim Seward to this day, my predecessor, I said, Jim, I'm going to carry that bill. I said, I think it's a feel-good bill. I think we really, at this time, need something along that lines. We did. We passed it in the Senate. It passed in the Assembly, and it was signed into law this past Friday. So baseball is our state sport. And back then on the floor, I said, baseball is a living, breathing force of nature. And I believe that, truly, to this day. I do believe that to this day. So I was kind of glad that I didn't have the timer going, because I was going to give usually my hour and a half when I get a crowd. But I think I'm going to stop right there, except I'm going to leave you with this thought. I did a lot of traveling in my business career in the Far East. And there was a saying in the Far East that I had with some of my business colleagues. And it was kind of a philosophical saying, a phrase, I guess we would say. And it goes like this: when the winds of change blow, some build walls, others build windmills. I think you guys are building windmills. Good job. Thank you.
And I have to steal him and move him on.
I was going to say, Senator, if you've got other places to go, please. Thank you.
Thank you all.
John has an addendum to add to his whatever he wants to
I think
say.
I have about 30 seconds left, and I will only take that. I want to correct one thing. It's been suggested here that the state legislature and the government did not approve the land deal with Gutchess Lumber. That is inaccurate. The Assembly passed it with the help of one Assembly person, Bob Lifton. The Senate passed it with the help of Senator Jim Seward. And Governor Cuomo, in more pleasant days, signed that into law, and Mr. Delvecchio can provide anyone that wants it with the citation. Thank you.
Thank you.
I've been out here every day for probably a week or so, setting things up and looking things over and deciding what's going to happen where, and talking about another part of the project over on that side of the road. And every day there's kids on that playground. And I mean, there was a day there were 8 or 10 kids, 2 or 3 families, I don't know. And when I get a chance, I'd grab one of the kids and say, "Hey, do you like this place?" "Oh yeah, I love it. I love it." "And is this the best playground around, do you think?" Yeah, love it." And off they go. And I probably asked 5 or 6 kids that same question, or those same questions, and the response is universal. They absolutely love that. And great addition. Now, one other bit of business, and I have permission from him to say this. I had an opportunity to talk with Dick Tupper this afternoon. He had full intentions on being here tonight. He is still in the hospital in Rochester. He had some, for most people, it would have been minor surgery because of a pre-existing condition. It was more extensive than minor. In any case, he had a second operation yesterday. They think they've corrected the problem. They want to keep him another day or 2 with trains and whatnot. He sounded very good. He was apologetic for not being here. He really wanted to be here, but he is on the mend. He hopes to be back in town in a couple of days. So, for your information. Now, a couple other people I'd like to recognize for a brief moment to talk about the park. I guess first is Michelle Phelps, who is the Regional Sports Council Director. Is that right, Michelle? Close? Yeah.
Good evening. I am Michelle Phelps. I'm the director of the Cortland Regional Sports Council, and it's been my pleasure for the last 16 years to bring sports to this community, strictly for the economic benefit. So what I'm going to speak to tonight, aside from the park being such a great place, is what it means to the community. And so I just have 2 numbers I want to throw at you. One of them is the economic impact. We keep track of the economic impact every single year based on the events that we have here. And we're able to track this because I know how many people stay here. I know how many people buy tickets to different events. It's not an exact science, but I'm pretty comfortable with the numbers. So the 6 events so far that PBR has held out here this year have generated $1.3 million in economic impact for Cortland. The return on the investment, I got numbers from the town. I figured out what the expenses have been. The return on the investment is 256% as it stands right now. I have a couple of testimonials I want to read. These are people that gave these to me to read tonight, and so I want to do this quickly. First is from Ben Albright, who is the Cortland High School baseball coach. The fields have been a huge asset for us locally at the high school level to allow us to get our games played throughout the spring. We're fortunate to have them available to us. As a coach for the Cortland Crush, I can tell you that this has been the ultimate draw to get travel teams to play us and for hosting tournaments locally as well. Anytime I call a coach to play, they first ask me to see if the turf is available and if they're going to be able to play at Gutchess Lumber Sports Complex or under the lights at Gutchess Lumber Sports Complex. From people all over the state and country are talking about Cortland and their trips to Cortland, New York. He just completed a trip to Georgia for a national PBR Futures game competition with his son, and the parents of many baseball players were buzzing about how great our complex is and how they would be returning to Cortland the following weekend as well as later this summer. These conversations were occurring in Cartersville, Georgia, a long way from Cortland, New York. You can't imagine the economic impact that this relationship has garnered. I also have something from Tammy Timmerman, who is the president of Cortland County Tavern and Restaurant Association. She couldn't be here tonight. She runs a Willowbrook golf course, and so she had leagues going on. She couldn't get out here. First, I apologize for being unable to attend tonight's very important Town of Cortlandville meeting. I'm writing to urge you to support the expansion of Gutchess Park baseball fields and to sign the contract with the PBR organization. As you are aware, the past 15 months have been extremely difficult for the restaurants, bars, and hotels in Cortland County. It has only been during the last 3 months that we have seen an upswing in our local business. This is due in part to the PBR events that have been held at Gutchess Park. Our restaurants have seen many of these visitors supporting them. A couple weekends ago, our hotels were full and our restaurants were booming, something that has not happened in a long time for this community. 2 of our local businesses have also been providing catering to these groups at our local hotels. At Willowbrook, we've even seen many of the fathers coming out to play golf when the kids do not have a game. These visitors are not only supporting our restaurants, but our hotels, grocery stores, and gas stations. The influx of sales and occupancy tax dollars that we will see in Cortland County during the summer months is a win-win for all of those involved. I strongly urge you to vote yes and to sign the agreement with PBR. Respectfully, Tammy Timmerman. From Robbie Petrella, who's the owner of Bricks in downtown Cortland. The baseball tournaments and other events in the Cortland Regional Sports Council has organized have had a massive impact on our business at Bricks. This is our 11th year in historic downtown Cortland, and this is by far our most successful summer to date. Specifically, the PBR tournaments are bringing many players, coaches, and spectators to our community and giving us an opportunity to showcase what makes us unique. We have quickly built relationships with players, coaches, and parents, and we're even seeing repeat customers. Personally, I'm grateful that the Gutchess Fields and the Sports Council have partnered to create a mini tournament mecca in Cortland. Traditionally, summers have been very quiet and business plummets when SUNY Cortland leaves for summer recess. Currently, our weekly gross sales are at the same level, and some weeks are even higher than when SUNY classes are in session. From Teresa Wilson, the general manager at the Holiday Inn Express. There's an uptick in revenue. We have sold double the number of rooms in July 2021 compared to July 2020. So far, the tournaments in June and July produced 170 room nights with us alone. This weekend, and this was a few weeks ago, I have 180 room nights booked due to the PBR tournament. They are taking just about the entire hotel for 3 nights. To me, it has generated a feeling of normalcy, that maybe we are over COVID, finally. Lots of people coming in and going, regular breakfast is being served. Never really thought that I would be so excited about normal. And then lastly, from Gary Van Gorder, who unfortunately had to leave town today. He is the executive director of the Cortland Business Development Corporation and the president of my board. I'm sorry that I couldn't be here this evening, but wanted to express my enthusiastic support for the town as it works to expand what is already a phenomenal facility at Gutchess Lumber Sports Complex into a major northeastern sports tourism destination. Make no mistake, sports tourism is economic development, driving spending at hotels, restaurants, grocery stores, and gas stations, and contributing significantly to sales and occupancy tax collections, job creation, and capital investment. The growth of the facility is incredibly exciting, and its success will have meaningful impact across our county for years to come. I can't give enough credit to the town leaders, past and present, who've had the vision and tenacity to make this happen. I'm grateful for the new and growing partnership with Prep Baseball Report as we brand the facility as a must-visit for aspiring young ball players, their coaches, and their families. My 11 years at the BDC IDA has been marked with some milestone achievements, but few have given me a greater sense of satisfaction than seeing our own field of dreams rise out of a South Cortland cornfield. Respectfully, Gary Van Gorder. So it's important that you hear those words directly from people in our community who benefit from these people coming into Cortland. These are our restaurant owners, these are our hotel general managers, these are people that deal with business on a daily basis. And lastly, I'd like to take a minute just to thank Ted Testa and Dick Tupper for their vision for the sports complex, and also to Tom Williams for continuing to carry this forward. Thank you.
Next, I'll ask John Mcnerney, who is, he wears a couple different hats. He works for the city. He's a youth director, has been for a lot of years. He is also a part-time manager of our complex out here. His real forte is scheduling. He has, back there somewhere, I don't know where that easel went, over here. You get a chance, take a look at it. That is the schedule for this weekend alone. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. All those things are games. All those, you can't read them from there, but all that is games. He's the one who schedules it all. He's the one who's got, I don't know how he does it. But
Software.
software. But he's the one who does it, and I've asked him to explain a little bit about what he feels the impact of this all.
Good evening. Before I do that, I'd like to recognize, thank you, Tom, recognize Bill McConnell from the Cortland Crush. Folks that don't know, they won the New York Collegiate Baseball League Championship this past weekend. And I know Bill has he's been a huge part of the local baseball scene in recent years, and he puts a lot of hard work and dedication into what he does and mentoring a lot of young men, so congratulations. Good evening. My name is John Mcnerney. As Tom mentioned, I'm the director of the Cortland City Youth Bureau and help manage this facility here. I'd like to give you a little bit on my background. Like John, I'm speaking personally. This has nothing to do with the town board. These are my feelings. I earned a bachelor's in science and education, recreation management from SUNY Cortland back in the 1980s. On August 28th of this month, I'll be completing my 33rd year of employment with the City Youth Bureau, 23 as the director. I have a large role in the supervision of youth sports, adult sports, and parks, both in the City of Cortland and the town of Cortlandville. I've served on the Cortland Regional Sports Council Board. I've served on the YMCA Board, the J.M. McDonald Sports Complex Board, the Crown City Little League Board, and the Central New York Parks and Recreation Board. Based on those experiences, I feel I can speak about the effects that Gutchess Lumber Sports Complex is currently having on the community and the positive future impact that it will have not only on the town of Cortlandville, but the county in general. I see it as a winning combination. When I reflect about this project, let me share my personal thoughts and outline a few things, a few reasons why I feel Gutchess Lumber will be a positive asset and potentially change this community in the future. The combination of park development that community members will benefit from this facility, as well as sports tourism. That's a winning combination. What parent or grandparent wouldn't want their kids playing at this facility? It's top-notch and considered already one of the best in the state. Athletics, as the senator mentioned, is critical to youth development. I'd rather see hundreds of kids out here playing this evening than sitting in front of a TV. Michelle talked about the economic benefits. I don't have to get into that. We're very grateful for the generosity of the Gutchess family to do a land swap of 9 acres for 100 acres of prime real estate and give that land swap to a municipality. More importantly, the town has kept a critical employer in Cortland. That's a winning combination. When I talk to colleagues about this development, the number one question they ask me, other rec directors from around the state, how did you get 100 acres of land? We're blessed to have it. I'm glad the town didn't take my word on this development. They hired a market feasibility specialist to provide data on why such a facility like this would work in Cortland. Some of the key points were location. We're centrally located in the state. Travel teams, whether it's soccer, baseball, softball, they all travel within a 4-hour radius of a complex. And the data shows that. If you look at the teams that are coming here this weekend, most of them fall within that 4-hour radius. There's no other competition or mega complex in the Northeast currently that we could that we compete with. Read the report. It has some outstanding information on why this facility will work. New York State grant funding. The New York State Parks, Recreation, Historic Preservation has funded part of the project and development in phase 1. It's very competitive funding. It took me 4 years to get funding for Wickwire Pool. The state likes this project, and we're going to continue to go after funding for it. The fact that national leader, you had Jared Currier speak during public comment, the fact that a national leader in athletics, Prep Baseball Report, wants to call Cortland its Northeast home is an amazing feat. They have complexes in Atlanta, Kansas City, Indiana, and they've been looking for a place somewhere in the Northeast. We kept this a secret from Cooperstown and Syracuse, another winning combination. Gender equality. Over the course of the last 3 seasons, I've witnessed thousands and thousands of boys enter this facility to play baseball. If we build 2 more fields, they're going to be versatile enough that we'll be able to play softball here. And I look forward to the day that thousands of girls will enter this facility to play softball, a winning combination. We've mentioned the partnerships and everybody that has been on board with this project and the support that they are showing to the town. Cortland County leadership, Paul Heider, he's talked to me on a number of occasions about the impact of this facility and always wanting to learn more. Me, Michelle Phelps, and Gary Van Gorder gave a presentation to, I believe, his finance committee. It was very well received and told us to continue to the good work. The city of Cortland, I work for the mayor. The fact that I'm here tonight and allows us to manage this facility, they support that. Mayor Tobin serves on the Cortland Regional Sports Complex Board and has been very supportive of sports tourism. The Business Development Corporation, the Cortland High School, Homer High School Athletic Departments, SUNY Cortland Athletic Department, SUNY Cortland Recreational Sports, and TC3 Athletics. I commend the town leadership for thinking outside the box. This is all winning partnerships. I've attended many meetings about the future expansion with the town of Cortland leadership. Trust me, they do not want this to be a tax burden on the town residents. The focus has been on creating a revenue-neutral agreement. As far as this weekend, I've probably gone over my 5 minutes, but I have to mention what is happening here this weekend. It's just to give you a quick snapshot that is starting tomorrow and going through Sunday. The largest baseball tournament on the East Coast, with the exception of one tournament in Florida. It's 55 teams. This tournament was sold out 2 months ago. I think they have close to 20 teams that wanted to get into this tournament that are on a waiting list. Where are they coming from? 38 teams from New York State, all across our state, down to Long Island, to Western New York, and everything in between. 9 Pennsylvania teams, 2 New Jersey teams, 1 from Delaware. I'm not sure if the team from Canada was able to cross the border, but they had registered and signed up. Where are they playing? All over Cortland County. Actually, obviously here, Greg's Field in the city at Beaudry Park, SUNY Cortland, TC3, and SUNY Binghamton. The fact that teams are traveling to Binghamton, if we had 2 additional fields here, we would capture them. They would be spending their entire weekend here in Cortland. These are the reasons I personally feel that this land that we're standing on today has the potential to have a lasting impact on Cortland for generations to come. I encourage anyone that questions this development to watch a YouTube video. It's called Sports Inc. It's about a 15-minute documentary that HBO put out, and it may change your mind. Thank you.
Thanks, John. One other bit of information. One other bit of information. What we're dealing with PBR is baseball. It's also, quite honestly, the financial infusion that's going to drive this whole thing. Beyond baseball, the most requested thing for this park, I've never seen it, but is pickleball. Pickleball, it's like a shrunken down tennis game, I think, right? For old folks, whatever. I've had more phone calls requesting pickleball courts out here. You can't see it well, but that land between the road and the cornfield, actually into the cornfield a little bit, we're actively negotiating for right to use it. And as soon as we get that, we will build 2 pickleball courts. We will build a bocce court, which has been requested. We will build horseshoe pits, sets of horseshoe pits, which have been requested. It's not by well, it actually is by itself, but it's out of the way. It won't interfere with this, and more importantly, the baseball operation won't interfere with that. So if a few people want to come out here on a Saturday afternoon and play pickleball, that's going to be their deal. It'll be their own little parking lot in their own place. There can be 1,000 people over here, won't bother them. So that's in the works, but and that should happen. I'm thinking by the end of the summer, that should be up and running. That's it for me. I'm going to turn the microphone over. Do you want to use the podium?
stay here for now.
To our attorney, who has going to sort of do the outline of the agreement we're looking at.
Good evening. Thank you everybody for coming tonight. Just one order of business for the town that I'd like to discuss briefly before we discuss the proposed contract with PBR.
Always have a point of business.
Got to do it. I'm speaking to the board members here. Everybody here is familiar with the 90 megawatt solar facility that's being proposed in Cortlandville, Homer, and Solon, correct? As we've previously discussed, the town is in possession of what are called intervenor funds. Those funds are funds that can be utilized to intervene into that project before it gets approved or in the approval process. EDF, the solar company, has actually formally filed its application with the state for approval of that solar facility to go forward with its application. And a part of that process involves sort of phase 2 of those intervenor funds being available to this town, Homer, and Solon. And $90,000 is the amount of funds that's going to be available soon, and an application has to be filed to seek out those funds by August 23rd. I've been in contact with Barton and LaJudas, one of the lead engineers at that engineering firm, namely Stephen Lefevre, who has indicated that he will be taking the lead if this board decides to have that engineering firm not only intervene in the project and seek those funds and utilize them to intervene in that project, but also assist this town to file that application by August 23rd. Mr. Lefevre has basically indicated to me that $25,000 is what Barton and LaJudas is a sort of an estimate as to what that firm is going to be utilizing for their work to intervene in that project. And again, these funds aren't town funds. These are funds that are tendered by the solar company, $90,000. It's a darn good idea for the town to get our hands on that money and intervene in that project as much as we can. So what I'm looking for here tonight is a motion to basically authorize Barton and LaJudas to not only file the application to seek the funds, but also to authorize Barton and LaJudas to move forward with intervening and utilizing at least $20,000 to $25,000 of those funds if and when they are received.
Dan, I'd like to make that motion.
I second it. Thank you. Any discussion?
Just one question, John. What kind of things would be the intervening funds spent on? What are they for?
Sure, mostly legal, either legal, all professional in nature. Anything that can be done to legally intervene into that approval process. And we'll have further discussions in the future as to what, how to utilize those funds.
So that'll ensure that things are following in line with our solar rules, regulations.
So our local solar law ordinance will not govern that process. It's because of the size of the project. It's a state regulated project. So we won't have a say in the governing rules, but we will have a say in terms of the experts that can assist with that process as it moves along.
Any other questions or comments? I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, on to the main order of business tonight, the proposed contract with PBR. I'm just going to briefly outline the major highlights, terms, and conditions of the agreement that's proposed. As you all know, I've circulated this document to you prior to this meeting. We have had, as you know, several discussions about the logistics about this potential arrangement, and it's now before you in black and white. This proposed contract has been reviewed up and down, left and right by myself. I have worked on it with several attorneys from PBR for many, I don't want to say many months, but I've worked on it for quite a while. And in my opinion, as legal counsel of the town, it is a very good agreement legally for the town. Let me highlight those provisions. First of all, as to the operational aspect of the agreement, PBR will manage the scheduling and who plays games and events at these, well, 2 fields now, but in the future 4 fields year-round. However, the agreement requires and mandates that PBR will allow the local organizations and teams to play their games at this site. Those local teams include the Cortland Crush. Bill McConnell is here. By the way, the Cortland Crush, according to the terms of the agreement, will be allowed 18 home games. I believe, Mr. McConnell, that the Cortland Crush played 18 home games this year, so that will be at least a minimum that they're allowed to play here. The Cortland Junior Crush will be allowed to play here. The Cortland High School will be allowed to play here. The Homer High School will be allowed to play here, and the Little Leagues will be allowed to play here pursuant to the terms of this proposed agreement. As far as the income streams, who will get what money? PBR will receive all the generated money from PBR held events. The town, however, will receive all income associated with those local organizations and teams that I described. PBR will pay the town on a monthly basis of $18,166.67. That's $218,000 a year. For the first 10 years, it's a 10-year term, that's $2,180,000. If PBR exercises its option for the additional 5-year period, that will total the contract amount to $3,270,000. And if this arrangement lasts for 20 years, it'll be $4,360,000. Part of the proposed agreement includes who will control the concessions, all the food food and drink, everything here. The town will maintain that control. The town will receive all income associated with whatever happens with the food. As far as naming rights, donations, and sponsorships, any donations that are made by anybody will be retained by the town. The town will also retain the naming rights that are not associated with marketing and advertising associated with just the baseball fields. So it's very important for the board members to understand that this proposed agreement only governs the baseball aspect of this park. As far as any other sponsorships and naming rights, the town and PBR will equally split any and all revenue generated by the sponsorship and naming rights associated with the marketing and advertising, again, pertaining to the baseball fields only. The term of the agreement is 10 years. 2 separate 5-year options to renew, 20 years total. An important aspect of this agreement is that the town will be obligated to construct 2 additional baseball fields. Those baseball fields will look somewhat different than what you see here. The infields will be turf, the outfields will be grass. It's also been worked out that PBR, who has extensive experience in the building aspects of constructing fields, they will serve as a consultant, if you will, or an advisor to the town to help the town save as much money as possible while keeping this place state-of-the-art as it is today. It is estimated that the construction of the 2 additional fields and the additional parking, which definitely will be necessary, will be approximately $750,000 to $1 million. The contract requires that both parties deposit $15,000 a year into an escrow fund, which will be utilized, that's $30,000 a year total, which will be utilized for repair and replacement of the turf. That's it for that money. As far as maintenance is concerned, the town will be responsible for all maintenance associated with the fields. It's very, very important for this board and everybody here to understand that the agreement only governs the management of the baseball fields. I've said that 3 times or 4 times now. The baseball fields consists of approximately 10 acres of this wonderful property. There's going to be 90 acres left that the town hopefully will have future plans for. As our supervisor has indicated, the town has formalized plans to construct several amenities and fields for other recreational uses, which will be open to the public at all times. Those are the major highlights of the deal. I'd also let the board members know that Ken Coker, the president and majority owner of PBR, called me the other night from his private plane and told me that he signed the agreement, and I have it here with me today. We've also provided, and I think, and given availability to the public, some of the numbers with respect to the bond anticipation note that the town initially has the obligation to repay. Approximately per year, depending on how that bond anticipation note goes in the future, the town pays around $225,000 a year currently. As I laid out before, the annual payment from PBR will be $218,000 a year. The generated income from the 5 local organizations, as I understand it, will be another $20,000 or so a year. As I've indicated, the town will generate further income from concessions and other things. Those are the main terms for your consideration. At this time, I'd ask for a motion to enter into this proposed agreement with the understanding that all town board members, including the supervisor, execute the agreement and make the agreement subject to a permissive referendum.
I'll make the motion that the authorizing the supervisor and the town board members to sign the agreement between the town and Prep Baseball Report.
We have a second. Thank you, Jay. Discussion.
Yes. John, you and I have talked about this in the past. Parkland.
Wait a minute, can you hear him in the back?
Let me speak a little louder, sorry. So John and I have discussed parkland alienation. Okay.
This, by the way, is a brand new sound system, and we're in the process now of figuring out how we can get more microphone systems. This was just came to the town last week, I guess.
Okay, here we go again then. So John and I talked about parkland alienation, and I would say that we aren't totally in agreement on that, but I have read the document and so on. And as was mentioned earlier there tonight in public address, I have a concern, okay, that has not been addressed yet, and I'd like to see that addressed. Basically what it states is to change the activities here, or leasing, renting, that kind of thing, requires state approval signed off by the governor, as I read it. Second one that I've been looking for is a cost-benefit analysis. Now, I've heard the numbers here tonight. They sound very, very good, okay? But they haven't been rattled out and put on paper so that it's an understandable revenue source and expense source. And that is something else I would like to see. Now, I wholeheartedly agree. This is a beautiful, beautiful complex. All right, we are fortunate to have it. We're fortunate to have the influx of people coming in here and seeing our economic development grow. And there's no doubt about it. You know, Michelle has touted the numbers for a year now, and very, very impressive. I don't have a problem with that. I am leery of going into a contract without parkland alienation being resolved. If we have a contract and the state says, nah, we don't agree with it, we don't want to see a change or whatever, and I would hope that wouldn't be the case, but I have a concern there. The cost-benefit analysis came out of another problem that the town had a couple of years ago, and the state controller's office says the town needs to do cost-benefit analysis. That hasn't been done either. So these are a couple things. I'm not opposed to the building. I'm opposed that the process hasn't been done so we know what our solid footing is on this project. And so I have some concerns there. But as Ted Teskin explained, I was here for the groundbreaking, which is a brand new thing for me, about 4 years ago. And along with that, and Ted inspired me so much with his thought, enthusiasm. I bought into Ted's dream and donated $2,500 towards that, okay? And so I proved myself up front that I am in favor of this, but I am a procedural fanatic, and these things have to be done. So with that, I'll pass this back.
So, Mr. Withy, that's powerful. Mr. Withy, I'll respond to your two comments very briefly. As far as alienation is concerned, I'm very, very informed of the legal principle. I've done extensive research on the topic. We have had extensive conversations about it. At this time, as you know, legally, I'm comfortable with moving this agreement forward. Based on that research and those discussions, I'm fully prepared as town attorney to defend my position, my legal opinion about it. It's a complicated legal principle that is derived not by the statutory law of New York State, it's derived by common law. Yes, there is a potential approval by our state legislature that could be involved, but I say could very sharply. And because of that, I feel comfortable legally moving this contract forward. As far as your second concern, I'm not aware of any cost-benefit analysis that is required, legal cost-benefit analysis that is required in this scenario. You referred to a comptroller issue that occurred in the town, I don't know when. That issue involved town action with respect to private property. This is not private property, this is town property, and that's all I have to say about that.
All right, does anybody else wish to make comment? If not, I'll call the question. All those in favor of going forward with this?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. It was 4-1. We're going to do something a little bit differently here. We're going to circulate the actual signatory sheet for the contract. Everybody's going to get a brand new pen. They can sign in the appropriate spot, and the pen is theirs. I'm going to give my pen to Dick Tupper, who I feel really deserves to be signing this. But we can do with the pens as you want. So. This is like they do it in Washington. I wonder what the signatures look like when they do a letter at a time, you know, with their pen. If you want to just write no vote, I vote.
That's fine.
Finally, I'm going to ask the attorney to sign that this has been reviewed and approved by him. Now, Attorney Del Vecchio spent time recognizing various people, and here I would be remiss in not recognizing him. He has been he has carried the water bucket on this project. I know he's done countless hours of research. I would be getting emails that he would send out at 2 in the morning and again at 4 in the morning, and so I think we owe him a round of applause. Normally at this point I'd say we stand adjourned, but I'm going to depart from that as well. Play ball!
Stay connected. Make sure you hit the subscribe button.